Finally, we have the second trailer for The Last Jedi. Of course, I'm going to break it down and cover everything you may or may not have missed, but first I want to address some statements from director Rian Johnson. He has recommended that fans not watch the trailer to go into the film clean. Obviously, I don't have the self-control for that, but I wanted to mention what he said because I think it's important to have that in the back of our minds as we watch this thing. I've seen people already saying that the trailer was great, but full of spoilers. I think the trailer was great and full of misdirections. I think Rian is very aware of the Star Wars fandom and people like me, and I think he specifically wants to be very careful with the marketing of this film. I'm gonna do my best to explain what I think we're seeing and any background information we already know, but again, if you want to go into the movie clean, I'd skip this video. We start with Kylo Ren on a First Order ship, most likely the Supremacy. It's been mentioned as Snoke's flagship and also a construction facility of sorts. That looks like a lot of construction back there, and we can even see some AT-ATs and AT-STs through that window. I expect they'll be updated from the previous models and maybe have a new name, but they're very similar to the original trilogy designs. And immediately after, we get a shot of some of those AT-ATs alongside the new AT-M6 walkers. In an interview with the designer of the M6, he hinted that it would be cool to have the old Imperial walkers acting as scouts. It doesn't look like they're scouting ahead here, but we can definitely get a sense of the size of the M6 walkers as they attack Crate. Kylo Ren's shuttle is also present. Next up is Kylo actually on the ground with some First Order snowtroopers. At least I think this is Crate. The red minerals and the rock make me think we're seeing the troops breaching the base we see later on in the trailer. I have a feeling everything on Crate will take place towards the end of the film, possibly as the climax. Between the trailers and the behind-the-scenes reel, it looks like all or most of our major characters will be back together here, but I also don't want to take behind-the-scenes footage too seriously when it comes to the plot. We see Kylo Ren with his helmet on what I'm guessing is still the Supremacy, or at the very least it's where Snoke is calling home. In the following shot of him picking up his lightsaber, we can see red-robed figures in the back who are probably the Praetorian Guard. I'm thinking this will be very early on in the movie, and maybe Snoke will feel the need to test Kylo after being beaten by Rey. I'm guessing he'll have to face off with some of the Praetorian, and that's probably the fight we saw being rehearsed in the sizzle reel. Now we're moving on to Rey and Luke as she returns his lightsaber and they start to address the topic of training. I think we can expect to see Luke ask for her to show him what she's got, and I love the look on his face when she does. He explains that he's only seen someone with her raw strength once before. He's gotta be referring to Ben Solo, and we get to see some more glimpses of the old Jedi Temple burning down. We have seen that before, but something new is getting to see Luke survive the wreckage. I'm guessing Kylo thought Luke was killed in his initial attack, and the fire might explain how Luke lost the synthetic skin on his hand. At any rate, Luke doesn't sound like he wants to train Rey based on his past experiences, but we do see some training going on, so who knows if his decision is final or if all those training moments were before he made that choice. Going back to Kylo, he removes his mask and destroys it. Again, I'm guessing this is early on, probably right after that possible meeting with Snoke. I think destroying his mask is a really good sign for the character. Don't get me wrong, I love that he was a Darth Vader fanboy in The Force Awakens and kind of a poser, but now he's growing out of that. He's becoming his own man, and that's great. Along those lines, we see him lead an attack on the Resistance and his own mother who is on board the Raddus. By the way, I love that they named one of the ships the Raddus. That's a fantastic and unobtrusive way to connect things back to Rogue One. Anyway, Kylo tries spinning, just like his grandfather, and then he has to decide whether or not to kill his own mother, because it looks like he'll have that chance. Keep in mind, this is very shortly after he killed his own father, and the Force Awakens novelization tells us he didn't exactly feel great about that. He was expecting it to strengthen his connection with the dark side, but it didn't. So he probably has a lot going on in his head at this moment. There are more shots of space battles, but they're broken up with a sequence showing the Falcon flying through, again what I have to assume is Crate. All these red crystals are consistent with the red minerals seen in other shots of the planet. I love the look in Chewie's eyes, and I also think it's hilarious that there is a Porg on board. Who knew that Star Wars Blips short would play into the film? But back to the space battle, we get a good amount of Poe screen time. We see his X-Wing with that new booster strapped onto it, and as it flies away, I think we can see that this space battle is taking place around Dakar. We can see the asteroid ring in the background, and it's in the back of a lot of these shots. I'm guessing this fight will be about a third of the way through the film as the Resistance evacuates the planet. The First Order found them in The Force Awakens, and it looks like they show up before all of our heroes can escape. We already know about the new First Order dreadnoughts that are specifically equipped with orbital bombardment cannons. It makes sense that they would show up to wipe out a ground base. And I can already hear people complaining that The Empire Strikes Back already had an evacuation during a battle and this is just a rehash. But if I'm right, we're still seeing things from a completely different perspective. This looks to be a space battle with no ground elements. I think the Resistance will suffer some heavy losses and they'll be forced to regroup on Crait. The next set of shots are actually what got me the most excited in the whole trailer. Finn finally gets to fight Phasma. I completely agree that Phasma was a wasted character in The Force Awakens. I agree that Finn should have fought her instead of FN 2199 on Takodana. I've been saying that the book Phasma has really set her up as a much scarier character than we've seen, and I am so hyped to have a chance for her to redeem herself. And by the way, the spear she wields is a weapon from her homeworld, and its origin is detailed in her book. The fight itself looks like it'll be on the Supremacy since we can see a number of walkers in the background. Since Finn is wearing a First Order uniform, this will likely be the climax of his undercover mission with Rose. Things start to speed up near the end as Luke continues to push back against training Rey. We see some of Crait's wildlife, which includes some of these crystal foxes, which is yet another connection to those crystals that I'm guessing are inside the planet itself. We also see Leia at the base as the doors close, and this is where I think Kylo and the snowtroopers were infiltrating near the beginning of the trailer. Those doors are very reminiscent of the doors of Echo Base on Hoth, which makes sense considering the Crait base is a former Rebel base. We see another interior shot of the Supremacy and more from the Battle of Crait, but finally we get to the big stuff at the end. We see Snoke apparently attacking Rey with the Force. She's in what appears to be his throne room, flanked by Praetorian guards, and she doesn't look like she's happy to be there at all. She then asks someone to help her make sense of her place in all this, and the opposite side of that conversation is Kylo Ren, who offers her his hand. I think these last few shots are massive misdirections. Let's start with Rey and Kylo. I think Rey is talking to Luke in this shot. It certainly looks like she's at a campfire or being lit by fire or something, and behind Kylo we can see fire, but it just seems much more harsh. I think these are two separate scenes. He very well could be offering her his hand, and she very well might want to take it. If Luke gives her the cold shoulder the whole movie, she might be willing to turn to someone who already offered to train her in The Force Awakens. I think it's possible, but I definitely wouldn't consider it to be a sure thing based on this trailer. Hopping back to Snoke, again, I think it's possible Rey could wind up on the Supremacy with him, but I could also see this being part of a vision. The first teaser opens with her gasping for breath. Maybe that's immediately after having a vision of this moment. Or maybe it really will happen. My point is, I can see why some people would think this trailer is too spoilery, but in my mind, I still have no idea what's real and what isn't. I am very suspicious of those two seemingly significant moments. That's pretty much it for this trailer, and we still have so much up in the air. We have yet to see anything major from Rose, Vice Admiral Holdo, DJ, or Canto Bight. There is plenty left to wonder about. I thought this trailer was phenomenal. There were so many great shots in it, I have no idea what I'm gonna make the thumbnail for this video. And while I'm at it, I think the poster is great too. I think it's very strange that Poe is on the quote-unquote dark side of the poster, but I think that's probably a symmetry thing more than a hint at the film. But what did you guys think of the trailer? Did you love it or hate it? Did you notice anything I didn't? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out my Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.